DZ bringing this team to club, I think is a much better idea than VRX bringing this team to club.
I think that's fair. We can probably say without a doubt that there is a couple of degrees of separation between the two squads. Just a quick one on this. Predictions. Fallow, it's a game that could go the distance. In fact, you know what? Stuff your predictions. You can talk about it in the game. It is time for us to get underway with this upper bracket final. Winner goes through and qualifies to phase 2, whilst the loser has to fight through the lower bracket. Gents, enjoy.
Thank you so much, Rob. And the loser of this game will have to face the winner of Gen.G versus Weibo. So again, if Weibo wins, that's like Asia teams like that are always crazy unknown quantities. For Gen.G, VP know how they play. DZ, maybe not so much because they're not used to it. But getting into Clubhouse, we've got the bands up. Already we see a Thermite. Is this Ace? Oh, it's Hib. It's the other ranged hard breacher. So hatches are Hib's specialty. Ace not so much, which means basement is going to be easier than probably Gym or Cash.
I feel like, you know, going to a map like Clubhouse might favor a team like DarkZero, who bring out a lot of cheese operators, for example. During that phase game, you saw the Glaz and Yingbi ban that let Spirits pick Monty Shield basically every single round. I imagine we'll see a big emphasis on shields, maybe even for both teams, because Joystick likes to play Blitz quite a lot on this map too. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot of heads butting in the early round, fighting for that entry, trying to get map control as quickly as possible with the help of those shields. Having both Hard Breach banned as well, leaving only Ace up, I agree, that's going to make playing downstairs really difficult for the attack towards the end game. I feel like the Hibana might have been a little more targeted because, again, Virtus.pro in their attack, they also like to play a lot of Hibana.
They do. Shepard especially plays so much Hibana. And he was he was kind of creaming Furex with it. So Hibana ban, super understandable. It'll force them to play the Ace and probably can openers with it too. Meanwhile, Cade Clash, Cade, you ban him, that way you know if there's electricity on the wall, you know it's a bandit, you can easily set up for a bandit trick. There's no guesswork there. And Clash, again, we talk about how good DZ are with shields. The same applies on the defense with Clash. VP don't want to give them the luxury.
Starting out CC and Cash, that's interesting for DarkZero. Their lineup, not anything out of the ordinary though. You've got Spirits probably to help over by Raptors, a mirror window as well to boot from there too. And Citizen trying to bandit trick this wall. The Twitch drone does break at least one battery, but this is still going to be a really straightforward position to try to hold Virtus.pro. They do have Joystick on the Zofia, maybe to try to use those concussive blasts to force back the bandit from tricking. Other than that, they could go below, try to get Vert, but then they'd be forced to clear out the Castle of Pamba, whose entire job is just to stop lounge control from either a red walk-up, stock Vert, or someone going in from blue to try to help get this wall opened up.
And that's really common when we see these bandit tricks, is just trying to deny any sort of verticality for the attack to establish. But it looks as if Panda has completely given it up. He's backed up red stairs, so they will forfeit that control, satisfied with, you know, the minute or so. Plus, with the wall already opened, no real reason for Pamba to still be down there. Might as well just rotate up and help your team.
Minute 30 to go. Still having this Capitao on the board as well. I imagine the next objective is to clear out this Azami up in Rafters. But there is a Mira to help assist. Another Selma charge going off. Not too sure from where. Maybe to help with the main wall between Rafters and Sight. Info now being gathered by the Capitao. I feel like this is such a risk having only Pasha here. I'm hoping someone else comes to rotate to assist the Capitao. And I think it's always to do that.
Deployed barrier.
Of course, with no Jaeger or Omai on the board, this Capitao's utility is going to be really easy to use for Pasha. Spirits, though, in a good position to perhaps get some support from bottom garage, but no one is rotating down there. The attack is taking control. Spirits is just trying to fight for his life, setting up his Kibas, trying to deny all these angles and stay alive for as long as humanly possible. But there's the other fire, but he's found a safe corner. Maybe he's getting lit up. Joystick finds the opening pick onto NJR. It's 2 for Joystick. It's 4 for VP. And Nafe, out of nowhere, finds himself alone, and VP take a dominant first round.
A great job just constricting DarkZero, great coordination with clearing out Rafters, good aggression by Joystick, trying to find a gap in that round with 2 picks off the board, and Rafters basically guaranteed to be in control of Virtus.pro. There was nothing stopping them to attempt that plant once they got all the way up through Rafters. DarkZero kind of realized that. They tried to get aggressive in the 5v2, but there's already the cutoff reestablished. Again, it's just allowing Virtus.pro to set up in that early round leads them with so much more success unless they get entry picked, which we did not see. It was still the 5v5 in those dying moments of the round, letting people like Joystick pop off because they know they have other players to either trade or just play for a different win condition.
And I think Joystick just walked up red.
Yeah, I was like, where did he go there? There was no presence con, so that makes the most sense.
He was one of the ones going in through lounge, so he just forced himself. He just powered red, got 2 kills, and then obviously Spirit's stuck between a rock and a hard place between those 2 fires, and that is why 90% of the time, if you see someone holding Rafters, it's much better when you've got something like a Jaeger or Omai, just something to support and make sure you're not fodder for those fire arrows. VP now attacking in the basement. It looks like Joystick is going to be hopping on that blitz. And DZ with quite the roam. They've got Castle. That always means they're going to be roaming a little bit, but it's probably going to be rather light. They don't have a whole lot of roaming operators other than maybe that Legion. So look for them to just kind of shoot drones and fall back pretty quickly, especially once they figure out that VP's got a blitz, which is a huge headache when it comes to roam.
We did see VP as well once they got that top floor control, getting Vert with the breaching charges, trying to force away anyone that still lingers over by the first floor. Jacuzzi wall going to be opened up shortly with the help of those Selma charges. That might force Nafe away early, but he's looking to try to go for this fight, using the impact to break off the second Selma, not allowing anyone from entering in from the breach, but the cutoff still persists. Citizen and Nafe trying to buddy up, and now they begin to fall away, just kind of forcing VP to drone them out up above. Like you talked about, they've shown some aggression on the top floor, and then back away once they realize Virtus.pro are ready to enter.
And Spirits, who's covering the retreat by Kitch Hall, he's also just going to fall back. Again, DZ kind of playing for time, playing for drones, playing for utility. They got rid of, I think, 2 of Pasha's Selmas, so he's got a lot less going into it. VP are going to have to make some choices on which walls / hatches they want to open, and a Demo scan also kind of wasted on this Legion. A Citizen has fallen back to church.
The hatch is still soft. I wonder if DarkZero will try anything funny like shooting the hatches to break those can openers. There are still plenty of breaching charges though, so it might not be needed. There is still aggression by Spirits by main stairs. If he does die on the castle, it's not the end of the world, but you'd like to get a pick here just to have that potential lack of a lurk by Virtus.pro, which is kind of what won them the early entry off of Joystick, being so aggressive, coming in through red stairs, getting that double kill and solidifying the man advantage. Now the Blitz forcing themselves down main stairs. Spirits will back off with his life intact. And this has been a good stall by DarkZero overall. Think about it. They still have the Kibas. They still have the Vulcan pack, still having Toxic Babes in the pocket of NJR. Despite not using any of that utility upstairs, they still burned 2 minutes and over half the drone economy from Virtus.pro.
We know VP can be very slow, and if you allow them to set up, it doesn't matter how much utility you have, they can be just as dangerous. The question is all that stall going to be enough of a wrench in VP's plans to stop them from executing properly? Kitchen hatch is still closed. Joystick ends up dropping in through Moto, so it looks like it's going to be a Moto blue split with the way the rest of the attack is pushing. Joystick, of course, is the man on the case. The plant will eventually be coming in through Moto. Spirit's position incredibly exposed now thanks to those Kibas being broken. He doesn't see Joystick just yet as he just gets peeked from triple wall. Spirit's not seeing that blitz and no answer from the defense just yet, but Joystick is getting stalled longer and longer by these goo mines, by these gases. There's another one at his feet, but Nafe ends up dying. The man advantage is in the favor of VP by 3 men now. Joystick completing the plant. NJR cannot do anything. It is 2 excellent rounds in a row for VP.
I love the insurance policy as well of that drone. We saw that. Spirits getting cleared out off of the info. The nade tossed in through the vert, over by Kitchen, all the way down in through Church. Now he's got no safe haven to stop the Blitz from pushing him. There's no one else blue to help either. Shepard's holding the hatch, letting his teammate walk in. That way they get all this map control. It was so precise so consistent by Virtus.pro there. I was thinking, you know, having so many people up above still on the vert that it would kind of hinder them, but it allowed the rest of their attackers to be enabled just to walk in and get the picks that they needed. Again, another successful entry despite it coming down to the final 20 seconds of the round.
Yeah, and it looked like there was someone in church with him too. You have to question, you know, with Spirits obviously getting distracted by that drone and having to check the door, that opens up the opportunity for Joystick to kill him from trip wall. But what's the other guy in church doing? He's not watching Trip? Joystick just gets that kill for free. We'll try Jim now as DZ uncharacteristically unable to win either of their two primary sites. Now swapping onto the third. They've got Mira. They've got a very, very typical comp here. DZ not doing anything too creative just yet. Playing very default, which is strange because that's VP's whole game. They want you to play default. They are a rinse and repeat team. They're not going to do anything crazy either, but they've done this so many times that it's so hard to mess up. And if you let them set up for it, like I said, I mean, you mentioned they had so much utility going into the dying seconds of the round, but they let VP set up.
Just goes to show the lack of pressure felt by Virtus.pro because they're so comfortable with their teammates, you know, holding those power spots. They're comfortable enough to let Joystick run in and secure that entry, comfortable with Shepard, not playing directly for the execute, but helping clear blue by holding that hatch. A lot of commitment going into the execute, and it still pans out the way of Virtus.pro. Now we look to Jim, like you had mentioned. There is an extension. Both the Azami and Warden playing here. Nafe downstairs as well to assist with the red attack. Those Kibas as well, maybe buying a lot of time. There are 0 grenades for Virtus.pro.
Yeah.
They have Zofia, which can help. There's Capitao and Grim. That could be utilized to clear out an extension like that. But in the meantime, it's yet again a slow round for Virtus.pro. They are fighting tooth and nail for Garage. They are fighting to clear out these players upstairs, but Spirits with the Nitro Cell still holding red despite the Grim detecting him. Wins the first fight, and that's Capitao gone.
Another fight coming through, but Nafe looks away at the wrong time. Had he just held it, it could be a two-man lead for DZ, but instead we find ourselves even. Spirits getting Grimmed, his location being constantly pinged, and he eventually ends up dying to that sliver under the Kiba barrier. Man advantage now for VP after DZ had their first opening pick of the entire game. Another C4 followed up by NJR, but it's not going to land. Now the con wall is getting open, and Pambazu is unable to fall back, overstaying his welcome in con. Should have tried to retreat as soon as that can opener started exploding, and NJR has no idea that Pasha is already in Logi. Citizen in the third 1v4 we have seen already this game. And I doubt he's going to be able to bring it out with how diligent VP tend to be. Out goes a C4, he gets one, but there's an immediate trade from Joystick.
Again, Virtus.pro just a great early round setup. Yes, they did lose the entry, but everybody on Virtus.pro was focused on clearing out the extension. Yes, it took a long time, but I think DarkZero were kind of in their own heads about we need to keep playing here to waste more time. We're hoping they stall out and we can play our utility. It might have been a better call to try to have Spirits fall back. Maybe he wasn't comfortable with crossing that CCTV door. So instead, he's basically playing for his life, and with all the utility they kept throwing at him, he ends up dying. Man advantage back in the favor of Virtus.pro. And I love that play by Pasha, too. Like, you expect the fall off now by DarkZero. You expect somebody Logi. You expect someone fighting aggressive con to work back that pick. So instead of waiting for a drone to tell you that, you just get aggressive while DZ are still rotating, and it caught them completely off guard, getting him 2 kills and basically solidifying the round. That was a really smart play by Virtus.pro.
Absolutely, just continuing to press the issue and knowing that DZ, they might still be same old DZ struggling with these teams that constantly have their foot all the way to the floor on the gas pedal. And it looks like a timeout?
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like a timeout has been called by DZ. Understandably so. You can't be losing 3 defenses in a row on club.
So the timeout saves DarkZero a little bit here. Overall, I feel like the saying's going to be for Virtus.pro, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We saw almost an identical idea on how to attack and defend on Clubhouse, where yes, it does take a while to get the entry, but so long as you have someone there ready with utility to push in and take that gunfight, even if they lose, as long as you get a trade or something else, then it's not a big deal. You know, we saw 2 entries back-to-back for Joystick. Spirits did kill Always, who was kind of our highlight player in the original best of 1 they played on Club against Fear X, but he was immediately traded. There was still garage control, still CCTV control, and by that point, they had the cutoffs established as well, which is also a big thing on their first Clubhouse match. DZ just continue to let Virtus.pro set up. I mean, the question is, like, what would the TAC timeout be primarily about? You know, do we try to, again, double down on being aggressive against Virtus.pro? Do we try to hold more crossfires together? I'm not really sure. And then starting once again on CCTV and Cash, this was also a really tough bomb site for DarkZero as a whole, because VP, all you have to do to set up is just, you know, open the outside breaches. Like, DarkZero can't stop that, really.
At the very least, so far, at least for our C-Stream games, timeouts have been incredibly successful. So maybe we can start seeing some success from DZ. I mean, you've got NJR is 0-3, Panba is 0-3, 2 really important players for DarkZero. VP already droning over here towards Jim. Nafe is waiting for that sound cue of someone dropping onto the balcony. We'll shoot the drone out first. Now his position known by Always, calling it out to Joystick. DZ just sitting and waiting.
Again, the patience is key here for Virtus.pro. Nafe spotting out the drone early. Now that makes Virtus.pro aware of a potential run out. They might try to hunt him down because of this. Another drone just for good measure. Also, Joystick is downstairs. Maybe he was waiting for Nafe to drop the hatch to get a free kill as the Blitz shield blinding someone from there. But instead, Nafe will remain up the top staircase, or up on the top floor, my mistake, while Joystick comes in from this main stairs. There is still a pretty heavy extension over here. I feel like Joystick cannot push this alone and needs to wait for his teammate to get in the building.
Looks like there's one coming in from Consignal trying to pinch onto this Ella. She's got help. Nafe is in bathroom. Don't know if VP knows about her just yet as Joystick starts to push deeper in. Shepard opening pick onto Panbazoo. It's yet another opener and yet another follow-up from VP. Make it 3. How many times are they going to get away with this as Nafe misses the shots? He can't clean up Pasha. Finally, the shotgun comes out, bringing one back for DZ, but now another 1v4.
They just can't keep getting away with this, Harrison. Every single time we see someone on Virtus.pro, they enter the building, they're giving info. Guys, I need help. Can someone come Logi? Can someone hold my cutoff on highway? I need this, this, and this done. And DarkZero are just allowing Virtus.pro to set up time in and time out, no matter what objective they try to defend. And then these overextended roamers get punished because now they go from having a chance of 2v1ing the isolated Blitz. Now he's got help, now he's got utility, letting him walk in, letting the defense feel uncomfortable. I mean, Virtus.pro, they look like they're on a map to dominate against DarkZero. Like, they just look like they're at home.
They really do. This is like, I think, the Russian squad of old starting to come out from VP. They are home, they're on Clubhouse, and they're dominating. How many times have we seen 4 rounds in a row end up as 1v4s? That is absurd. It's unacceptable. And how is this the same DZ that just 7-3'd FaZe?
I mean, it's a totally different play style between Virtus.pro and FaZe, obviously.
It's like polar opposites.
Yeah, you know, so maybe that's what's throwing them off guard. You just finished beating FaZe. You're on this sort of like runner's high going into game number 2, and now Virtus.pro, they pick a totally different map. They're playing a lot slower and more methodical, and DarkZero really look like they just have not been able to adapt to that play style, despite the TAC timeout being called at, you know, I would say, a fairly reasonable time. You know, you lose 2-0 on your attack, so maybe close rounds, you know, fair enough. But then going into round 3, they immediately called after that round was a loss too, and it just still seems like they're struggling to recover as a whole, excuse me. And DarkZero, once again, not really changing their lineup at all. They've got Citizen now in the Fenrir, which I think is the biggest difference right now, but it's still Spirits holding top red, the Azami to help once again, and Nafe now playing even further downstairs in the basement rather than lounge. maybe to avoid being droned. That could be a potentially smart play.
Maybe, yeah, you're at the only difference is instead of the tuber out, Citizen is on the Fender. So less delay on the wall, more kind of entry denial thanks to those fear mines. I mean, just look at VP's score lines too. Shepard is 4-0, Joystick is 7-1. Dan, who's normally a pretty aggressive player, has seen 2 people. Like, it is just, again, it is absurd the way this game has started. And always, it looks like they might know about Nafe. In comes the Lion. They've got to have a drone on him. And yeah, they do confirm his position. He'll hide behind Gen, but now with always creeping up from Arsenal, there's really nowhere for Nafe to go.
I mean, if he doesn't move, though, someone has to push him down directly. You can see Always playing really passive on that bottom main cutoff, no one wanting to take that direct one-for-one gunfight, instead hoping to catch Nafe off guard. Now Always begins to walk in, a really slow attack in Spirits, able to shut down Pasha, another for DarkZero. It's this the round they need to stop Virtus.pro's aggressiveness towards the late round. They're up by 2 bodies, and Virtus.pro are still kind of waiting on DZ to continue to be aggressive. They're still playing outside, and Always is still in the basement. There goes one, and he's aware about Nafe. Could he equalize here? Yes, he can! Virtus.pro still have a chance, Harrison.
And this is exactly what Always did against FearX. VP have pre-placed drones in the basement. They spot the roamer. Always sits down there because there is no escape. Eventually, the defender's going to get anxious and move. It's happened 2 games in a row, but VP are low on time. They committed a lot to getting those 2 kills. 20 seconds remain. Now, at the very least, they don't have to worry about any C4s remaining. DZ's already used all of them. They don't have to worry about a Goyo or a smoke or anything like that. The biggest obstacle is going to be these Fenders if they're placed correctly. Panda lands a beautiful pre-fire, but loses the next engagement to Shepard. And JR makes this a 1v2 for the Capitao. Shepard's clutched before, but he can't do it here as the Fenrir still persists back in Gym, and DZ are finally on the board.
It took them a while, but it was a great early round, to say the least. They weren't trying to play hyper-aggressive against Virtus.pro, but once they realized, you know, there's 2 or 3 people committing to clearing the bottom floor, we should try to power this, you know, make sure that we're not going to let them get away with this clear downstairs. Let's make sure we can hunt down the players who are alone by CC, alone trying to clear cash room, and Virtus.pro just looked a whole lot less comfortable when it came to those final 10 to 20 seconds rounds. They didn't have logic control, they didn't have as much info because they used so much clearing out the basement in the initial extension by Red. But overall, you know, 4 attacks on Clubhouse, like that is nothing to scoff at.
Like, VP just lost that round, sure. They don't give a shit. Like, they just won 4 rounds on attack. They do not care. If they end up going 5-1 here, that is incredible. The map's probably over. If this ends 4-2, they're still very happy with that. However, DZ did win 4 attacks straight against FaZe on Labs attack, so they could have something in store for us. Maybe DZ's suddenly flipped into an attacker-sided team, but we got to at least get through this church round first, where just again the setups from VP have been so dominant, and DZ have not been doing enough to either disrupt them or to stop the cuts. I mean, the cuts from VP have been incredible. I say all event, in both the games that we've seen so far, including this one. Joystick back on the blitz too, looking to get aggressive, is quick in through secret. No one for him to find though. Pamba taking some pot shots, just sneaking back into the site.
Joystick now enters in from blue. Nathan Citizen, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of pressure towards them, but there is someone holding from the plat wall. And maybe Virtus.pro have noticed a lack of site presence and want to go a bit more direct. I think Joystick's still making a final decision on that. It seems like he's coming upstairs to try and assist the roam clear by Virtus.pro. I did now notice that there's like 3 people outside trying to slowly collapse in towards Cash and CCTV. Maybe Dan getting a good drone could detect someone with that Deathmark tracker, kind of unleash the hound of Joystick because he's having such a good game in this first half. And it seems like it won't be him to find the entry, but instead Always playing outside, watching for Citizen. But he's traded from where? Spirit just peeked the kitchen hall door. And now it's a 4 versus 4. Almost a man advantage for DarkZero. But Pasha winning the tussle. Great rotate by the Fuse. And man advantage back in the favor of Virtus.pro. But what was that angle? Never mind. He gets off.
I was just saying, let him cook. Let him cook. But he gets off. I mean, but again, what a ridiculous cut from VP. They've got always just sitting in stock, waiting for this guy to try and drop the hatch. Pamba will even the odds, but then there's another player on the stairs. Joystick on Blitz is yet another cut. VP's trade game has been indomitable. Now they lead 3-2 in the round once again. The two SAS operators, shotgun SMG combos are left to try and clutch and recover the half for DZ. But in comes the fuses. NJR almost dies to it, and Joystick is looking to take site control. First gas canister comes out from NJR. Tries to block off trip wall or the hallway. As Nafe sets up the other angle with the C4. Pasha attempting to force something back, make sure no one's hiding behind the bar, but the C4 gets caught on the door and misses. Joystick also doesn't get shot. Nafe almost dies. Joystick is in the site, taking a 1v2, and he loses it. Now we're back to even. They've got pings on Pasha, but they don't know about Dan, who gets one traded out. 1v1 for DZ to save the half, but Pasha is the savior once again for Virtus.pro.
And all the space he made with that fuse, allowing Joystick to run in, kind of ringing the dinner bell of, hey guys, we might threaten a site clear to get that diffuser down or win another gunfight. He felt like such a menace that entire game, and you talked about it during the round, Harrison. The trades by Virtus.pro, the second they get the man advantage, they go, all right, anytime someone tries to swing us, we just have their trade. You saw the guy from jail door swing out, that was Spirits, he got his 1-for-1, and now you've got Pasha walking downstairs, getting the kill. All of his kills that round were trades, Harrison. Literally every single one, he got a 3K.
We were talking about it before, or like during breakfast today, before call time, right? Where VP, funny enough, Chess, also a very good game for the Russians. VP, just like Chess, they get the advantage and they immediately start trying to simplify. They do not want the defense to regain tempo, find their footing. VP are saying, okay, we've got the man advantage. Like you said, let's just play the math. Let's just simplify. And they get themselves in these 3v1s, 2v1s. And by playing so aggressive like that, people don't expect it. And it's why we saw 4v1s in a row and now a 5-1 attacking half on Clubhouse. After VP have looked, I mean, they've looked really good on attack. They look even better on the defense. We're going CCTV first, interestingly enough. Same kind of idea that DZ had. And VP are, in fact, bringing that Jaeger to help support Azami and Rafters, something DZ did not bring, and Spirits ended up paying the ultimate price for it. They've even got the Frost is interesting from Shepard, maybe looking to just kind of lock down some of those windows, get some damage on DZ as they try to clear opposite side map should they go for it. You can also use it to kind of trap the shield as they work up garage stairs because they're not going to be looking at it. And speaking of shield, there's where Spirits shines, though. He's got his Blackbeard.
I have to say, overall, very happy with how well Virtus.pro have been in the upper bracket. You know, they've only shown 2 maps. Both of them so far have looked very dominant. You know, despite regionally speaking, they were in like, what, 4th place, I think it was? Because it was
4th.
Secret, Falcons, and G2 as those top 3.
Yep.
So this has been an incredible run for them so far throughout their best-of-1 matches. And yeah, I think the Frost really just trying to double down with the Clash as well to stall and stop Spirits from being that reign of terror on Blackbeard. The shield emphasis against FaZe was very obvious. So now seeing it once again for DarkZero, you know, it makes a lot of sense, but Virtus.pro are clearly prepared for it. I think almost all of their operators counter it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, if Spirits is going to be in a world of hurt if he's up against that Clash, we know how far that shield goes away from your body thanks to those shocks. And about a minute in, no one on DZ is even in the building yet. They haven't begun this clear because they see how far forward VP are with this Azami, with this Clash, potential Frost mats under those windows too, and it doesn't feel safe enough to go in yet.
Still a lot of setting up here for DarkZero, but usually they're the team that benefits from having a more aggressive playstyle in the early round, unlike Virtus.pro where they are extremely methodical. What? Clash outside the building's like, all right, there's a guy highway, and no, the bear trap! It catches Spirits by surprise, you called it! You read them like a book, Harrison. The 5 versus 2 off the rip for Virtus.pro, and I fear that NGR and Citizen won't be able to power up off the plethora of utility that's here in the final minute. Citizen being forced, or forcing out always with that frag grenade. Good play for him, but there's still so much left to accomplish in this late round.
And still so much utility from VP too. Dan has been generating those Kivas the whole round, and he's still in Master. Dan has all of his gas canisters. Shepard is supporting from Logi, and both players just instantly die. Technically, becoming a 1v4 at the end of that round. So that's our fifth of the game for VP.
What is it with us in like 3Ks and 1v4s, Harrison? I
don't know.
During all of Element, we had nothing but 3K after 3K after 3K on Cafe, and now Clubhouse, it's the 4v1s of Virtus.pro that they always end up winning. And like you talked about, simplifying the round every single time. They just started barging at DarkZero the second Spirits was injured. They knew that was the spearhead. They knew that was the playmaking factor of having a shield to allow DarkZero to get in the building and work fights. Once that player is gone, they immediately double down on the aggression. And wow, yeah, even on the replays, they look so electric.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if they close this out 7-1, Harrison.
I wouldn't be either. I mean, especially because with how long DZ took to do anything, VP are probably thinking to themselves, okay, Blackbeard's dead, they got nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what do they have
Just
after
keep playing
that?
Clash. It's that simple.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to do, because this map might end before DZ have the opportunity to ban her. She's just going to be such a headache, and that's the punishment you receive when you go down 1-5 on any half. And now we've still got the Azami. We've still got the Clash. Now we've got Wamai from Joystick, who's going to be happy to play Rafters, back up into Cash, play around the Cash box, play around Green box. He's going to be so hard to clear because he's also got the impact trick potential. And DZ, I mean, again, a very, very normal lineup. Nothing wrong with that, but dropping the shields, they're not bringing like the usual cheese that we're so used to seeing DZ bring and excel with.
Definitely is interesting, especially with so much window presence on this map. You know, maybe something like a Ying could be vital. Glaz as well, not a bad option to say the least. Maybe not for this site specifically, but it is interesting that a team we talk about so much, having someone like Spirits who can play those cheese ops consistently and then having a good core around it, it just not being played despite all that. NJR does get the entry, but Nath loses a lot of HP in the process of that, and they do get this breach opened up, but there is still an entire extension over by Red, and it's Pasha holding this. With the help of these magnets, the shield can be used to stop the Red walk-up, and the magnets can give Pasha time to react to this clear upstairs.
There's no pocket EMPs from this attack either. At least I don't believe so. I think Nath brought hard breach. Even if he did bring pocket EMPs, that's why there's Wamai set up around Pasha to stop that and the explosives. They drone him out, but he's chilling behind the shield. What are you going to do? He can activate it at any moment. Here comes the air jabs, but still the Wamai is in play. Pasha is going to be able to just walk forward to evade them, but he's getting pressured out by this nade. He's still alive somehow, and Joystick off that push gets a kill. Pasha's traded out. Joystick trying to get aggressive, though, ends up losing his life. Dan trades. For the first time this game, DZ have a man advantage. 3-on-2, and they've got plenty of time left.
Spirits is still low, however, and they use so much utility just to clear the Clash. I think barely any air jabs left for Spirits. 2 track stingers to try to make some space in this round, and a couple of drones, but one of them being in the basement. This will take so long to rotate upstairs. I don't even know if it's that worth it for DarkZero, as they don't have a lot of time to hit the go button in sight, but it looks like Citizen will commit just to see if they can try to ISO someone, maybe a player by Logi. That'll be Shepard alone, waiting for someone to walk in through the rotate. Dan hiding in bathroom, maybe to stop the presence of Highway Window. DarkZero coming down to an absolute halt, as they're just looking for a weak point here in Virtus.pro's defense.
15 seconds remain now. In through the window comes one player, Citizen. He's the man with the case. They light him up. They know where he is. He's got a goo mine in his foot that he's got to take out before he can plant. He's got to do it. He's finally sticking into 1v2, but Dan can deny with the impact, and behind the mattress, the Russians making a great case to reclaim that crown as the kings of Clubhouse.
An almost flawless series for Virtus.pro.